Welcome to Big Design. I'm sitting here with Preston McCauley of ClearSight Designs. Preston is making a name for himself in the AR, VR, MR, RR space, and he's here to talk to us a little bit about what he's working on. So Preston, I had the opportunity to attend your AR, VR workshop at Big Design this year. It was really fun. Tell us a little bit about what it is that drew you into this space and what you find so compelling about it.
I think the thing that I find most important or really exciting about it is its storytelling at its core. And UX people, they really love to tell stories. So it just seems like a natural transition. I mean, just a few moments ago, I was in a talk completely out of our normal realm, watching movies and understanding how to set up scenes. And that's really where this is going. We're getting into the design of the world around us. And so it's not so much just user experience, but it's just experience.
One of the things that we've talked about, and I think where you're primarily positioned in this industry, being both a UX expert in trade and practice, and now kind of coming to the forefront of designing virtual and augmented spaces, is that there's a dearth of UX talent in the VR space. Can you tell me more about why that's a problem and what you think we can do to fix that?
I think right now what I'm seeing and what I've been seeing over the last few years is there needs to be a more kind of cross-dimensional skill set of people like wanting to branch out and wanting to learn some of these other fields. What I've started to see is that it's going to take time to make that transition, and not a lot of people are aware of what that roadmap is. And so I've really taken the time as I go through this process to document my own journey. It's what we do as UX designers. So it's kind of awesome to be able to say, oh, here's the roadmap. Come join me now, right?
I think that'll be a really cool thing to contribute back into the community and prevent, UX 15 years ago in 2D software.
Yeah.
Which is, you had to scramble and fight and convince and pitch and beg, borrow and steal to get UX designers on a project because
Right.
Nobody understood what it was or what it was meant to. Well, now most people do, but now you've got this emerging technology that UX designers, for whatever reason, haven't really embraced yet. So what do you think a designer like myself can do to kind of overcome the fear of learning Blender, or all the other kind of accoutrements that come with 3D spaces that maybe have prevented us from playing in 3D in the past?
Right. Well, when I'm teaching new students and I kind of expose them to some of these things, what I'm basically saying is, spend 20 minutes a night just looking at it. Like, here's something you can try that's not going to take up your whole day or overwhelm you, but at least expose you to some of that. And the more exposure you have over time, the less fearful I think you will be. A lot of people, I recently had a discussion, are really defined by I do my wireframes and that's all I do. Or I do user strategy, or I do service design. But we're bringing a much larger lens into the picture. And so by being able to expand yourself, it's going to help yourself both financially as well as just professionally in the field, because you have a wider set of skills that everybody will want.
So I think that's spot on, and but there's a concern, I think, that some of the people in our side of things have. So the bulk of what I end up doing is B2B enterprise kind of software, which is good because if anybody needs UX help, it's enterprise software, right? The things we're seeing AR, VR come into play with is primarily video games. Now, they're one of the first adopters, aside from that other industry, which is always the first adopter of new technology, which we won't really talk about. Games is kind of the next one. And so right now it feels like the only use of AR, VR is in games or even construction. There's kind of your no-brainer, well, if I could augment your vision of this, that would be great. The designer who's working on accounting software for Deloitte or Thomson Reuters, the designer who's working on Pizza Hut's web app or Domino's Alexa skill. How do those people fit into this VR AR ecosystem in the future? Basically, where does AR VR meet the B2B and the enterprise and the regular software that is our bread and butter today?
Well, I think what's interesting, and I've been confirming this as kind of doing my own user research around these various conferences and speaking engagements and such, is that the budget that typically was reserved in these larger companies for innovation is now starting to shift into everyday marketing budgets. There's new platforms launching. I'll be talking about this in a little bit, but the AR kit is going to be built in directly into the iPhone. You don't have to add anything else into it. And that alone just has elevated the whole platform overnight. I'm super excited about that, but it's taken a lot of developmental understanding to even kind of dig into that. And that's where people are sometimes a little bit afraid or skittish of. It's like, oh, I don't do development, I don't do design, but we need people to be able to be visionary thinkers. A lot of the design patterns and systems and things that we've had from our earlier existence of UX will translate over in some form. Now, I would not just jump in and say that applying the game world to our physical world is the best approach. So I think we do need to think, we've had a lot of conversations here at the conference about thoughtful design thinking, right? I think this ties into that, is we don't just want to take a game mechanic and apply it to our physical world and make that the way that we use that interaction pattern.
You coined a really, really cool phrase about that yesterday that Alan Cooper tweeted out.
Yes.
Don't stop augmenting my reality.
Yes.
I think it's brilliant. I don't think it's dismissive of the technology. It's stop misapplying these things to the wrong things.
Right. I'm starting to see the hamburger menu of VR and things like this that we all know from the UX world is kind of transplanting over. And I'm starting to see this 2D world as we look at these other mixed reality platforms coming over as well, right? So it's a familiarity with the design patterns of the past moving into this new space. But I want people to think beyond that.
What is it that our viewers can get by coming to conferences like Big Design in respect to AR, VR? This is a UX conference. You wouldn't expect to see some of that, and lo and behold, there's a ton of it.
Yeah.
Why should they come to Big Design and like conferences at all?
Well, I think one of the important things to do, and I've talked to a lot of people here, is to bring in new perspectives, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean our own field. I mean, I had an opportunity to speak not long ago at the North American Farmer Conference on UX, which is like, how did you find me? So I think bringing that level of different skill set, different perspectives, will make us better designers. It's a really good place to get exposed to other people. We have the Industry Giants conference going on over there right now. I'm fascinated by that. That's the world I'm living in, and so I'm going to immerse myself in that world right now and meet those people, listen to their stories, right? Using all of those tools that I have at my UX disposal and say, cool, this is awesome. Now I know how to help tell that story and bring other people on it. That's what's always been great about this conference. I believe this is my 9th year coming.
9 out of 10?
9 out of 10. Yeah,
Impressive.
I missed the first year because it was so small. But I've continued to come back, and it's very welcoming, and there's so much talent that comes into the conference now, and you get to socialize with other people in other fields, and also you get to learn about real challenges and real problems. And that's, for me, it's about finding the practicality in what we design at the end of the day.
Before we close, I'd like to invite you to step into what we call inside the Big Design Studio. We've got some blatantly ripped off questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite word?
Imagination.
What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Passion.
What turns you off?
That's a tough one. Closed-mindedness.
What's your favorite curse word?
Making curse words up. I like to make up my own.
Can you give us one? If I were to kick you in the shin right now.
I don't know. I can't think of one right now. Totally put me on the spot. No, don't do it. You can't pull that out of me on demand, but yes.
Okay, impromptu things.
Yes.
What sound or noise do you love?
Laughter.
What sound or noise do you hate?
That's a tough one. I'm going to say nails on a chalkboard. Yeah. The old standby.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
That is a tough one. Filmmaking.
What profession would you not like to do?
Well, let's see. I've done a lot of professions I didn't want to do. So I'm going to have to say astronaut. Don't have any desire to be an astronaut.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did an awesome job.
Awesome. Guys, thank you for being with us, and thank you, Preston, for joining us today at Big Design. Check out the conference and come when you can. It's awesome. Thanks, Preston.
Thank you.